I was convicted of a very, very serious crime. I understand the nature of my charges. I understand the label that's going to be associated with me. That's not who I am now. Being someone convicted of terrorism does not automatically mean that you're devoid of all, hope, or that you're not human.
Since 9/11, the U.S. government has prosecuted hundreds of people for terrorism-related crimes. As of this year, 53% of them have been released from prison, and federal authorities still don't know the best way to reintegrate these so-called formers back into society. Among them is Mohammed Khalid, who was a teenager when he got involved in a failed murder plot and was arrested in 2011.
Federal authorities say Mohammed Khalid conspired with
terrorist suspect known as Jihad J. The former high school honors student is accused of recruiting women with passports
to provide resources and personnel to kill people in South Asia and Europe.
A few months after his release, Khalid decided to share his story about how he became one of the youngest people ever charged with terrorism-related crimes in the country and what comes next.
Did you think it was really going to work?
I haven't really, that's the first time someone asked me that question.
Khalid was 13 years old when his family moved to the U.S. from Pakistan in 2007, and he started going to school in Maryland.
So I've been in a classroom, and the teacher would ask everyone to introduce their names in the first day of classes, and I would say, my name is Mohammed Khalid, and I come from Pakistan, and I'm a permanent resident here. Friends would just kind of lean closer to me and snicker, hey, Mohammed is a terrorist, right?
By 2008, he was active in online forums and had started his own YouTube account, publishing English translations of religious songs. Online, he started connecting with extremists, some of whom were linked to Al-Qaeda and affiliated groups.
For me, the beginning searches that I did in order to find out more about religion was through the internet, and I began to watch YouTube videos that showed all these different bombings into different Muslim countries, or portrayed, young people, or portrayed innocent people being killed. I was just watching every single video, trying to make sense of what the religion was and what the political side of the religion was, whether it was even religion itself. I began to internalize everything that happened to me. I secluded myself from my own family, and I began to consider people online as my brothers and sisters, and I began believing everything that they said. And slowly and gradually, the process of my extremism was born.
It was through YouTube comments that he eventually met Colleen LaRose.
Colleen LaRose is a better name by her online moniker, Jihad Jane. She introduced me to Alisha of Damash, the Black Flag, on the extremist forums, where I kind of, got to know more about the plot to kill the cartoonist in Europe.
LaRose and Damash were planning to murder Lars Vilks, a Swedish artist who had drawn a caricature of the Prophet Muhammad. Khalid tried to raise travel funds, recruit others, and hid a stolen passport LaRose had sent him. LaRose was arrested in 2009, and the FBI began investigating other people involved, including Khalid, who continued interacting with online extremists for up to 40 hours a week. Khalid was 17 when he was arrested in 2011, and eventually pleaded guilty to the charge of material support to terrorism.
Being in prison is glorified in extremist circles. But of course, I was sadly mistaken, because prison is, it's not a glamorous place. It's not an exciting place to be in.
He faced up to 15 years in prison, but was given a lighter sentence after cooperating with authorities. He was 23 years old when he was released in May of 2017.
The lights were in celebration of me coming back home, so Mom just, kind of hung that up. So just had a little, minor celebration in here. The reason why the room is like this is because of me. Because I was in prison, all the money that was allocated for a house, for buying our own house in the United States, for living that American dream that people look forward to, was spent on my legal case on trying to get me out.
He now lives with his family, who supported him during his time in and out of prison. While Khalid was open about telling his own story, he didn't want to have them identified.
I'll fix everything up when I go back home. I'm just in a rush right now because we have to be at college by 10, and I want to make sure I get there early.
Before his arrest, Khalid was getting ready to attend Johns Hopkins University, where he had received early acceptance. But at that time, academics weren't the only thing on his mind.
Trust me, I was very recluse. I was very private. I hated going out. I would just rather stay to my own, in my own bedroom and not listen and talk, or not even go out, because that was my world. I didn't know anything better, right? I was immature. I was just talking to all these people and thinking that this is the world, and the fantasy world of these extremist fighters, the world that they live in is the actual world. But no, this is, if you're looking for paradise, right? They want to die and go to paradise, but this is paradise for us.
While incarcerated, he was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome.
I think having an Asperger's diagnosis, I don't think was part of everything that happened. I think it played a major role in what had happened to me. A lot of people kind of make that, say that, well, you were intelligent, you probably knew what you were doing. But I think there's a big difference between being emotionally mature and being intelligent. You could be the most intelligent person in the world, but you could also be the least mature emotionally and socially.
After he was released, Khalid studied cybersecurity at a local community college.
I try not to think about it. I try not to think about my past because I lost 6 years of my life, for something that was completely fabricated. I wasn't exposed to the real world, and this is the real world that I came out of after extremism.
There are no large-scale programs in the U.S. to reintegrate formers like Khalid, which is becoming a crucial issue as more people like him are released. Many other so-called formers have discussed their experiences publicly as analysts and de-radicalization consultants. Khalid has also started doing this kind of work, sharing his story in a report for Quilliam, a counter-terrorism think tank. Last year, he spoke on a panel for the first time at a cybersecurity conference in Charleston. Khalid doesn't get paid for this kind of work, but he says he hopes to reach others who may be in a similar situation.
Just says I'm a conference panelist over here. It was an engagement to kind of speak mostly in front of government officials, intelligence, as well as students, kind of, just share about my journey in and out of extremism.
How do you introduce yourself at a conference like this?
I'll be open. I'll say, okay, well, this is what happened. I was convicted of a, terrorism charge. In terms of bringing it up casually, I don't think that's something that you can just basically just bring it up. Hey, look, I was just convicted of this charge, because that's enough to scare people at first.
Who would have thought that a former extremist, if you will, and a former intelligence officer would be in the same setting?
On my way from back home, the school bus kind of turned, and there was just an unmarked car and a few official-looking people, like you guys, And then a few minutes after that, there was a knock on the door. FBI was there. They executed a search warrant. I, at that point on, just wanted to get them off my shoulders. I didn't want to, because I was an unindicted co-conspirator, and I did not feel that I was that much of in trouble. And I still wanted to believe in the extremist ideology that I wanted to believe in. It was really hurtful in the sense that it was opening the wounds of my past, exploring the state of mind that I had at that time and coming out of it.
Was there ever a time when you thought, this doesn't seem right, but you kept going, and what was the reason why you kept going?
For me, it was like thinking like the loss of meaning, belonging, and a purpose that I kind of felt in my life, and I wanted to reconcile that in any way. It was a challenge, personal challenge that I had to deal with. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting to know the other person. In my case, that's what was missing, and that's what I'm trying to reestablish every day. I'm pretty sure when people, at least those who are directly aware of my charges, they always have that doubt in their mind that, okay, is he really the person whom he's trying to portray himself as? So that's definitely, a thought in my head. That's definitely an understanding in my head. Of course, I go through that, in terms of trying to repress my past and trying to, demonstrate who I am. But that's a personal challenge. That's something that I'm hopefully, overcoming every day by making some kind of difference in sharing about what happened to me.